Book 2, The Book of the Cosmos. Chapter 1, The Observatory Opens, Section 1. Good evening, Seekers. Tonight, the archive opens a different kind of book. For countless evenings, these shelves have carried stories of forgotten kingdoms, impossible machines, vanished civilizations, mysterious philosophies, ancient symbols, and books whose authors have long since returned to dust. But there is one library older than all of them. It has no walls, no shelves, no candles, no ink. Its pages are written in light itself. Tonight, we begin reading that library. Before we do, allow yourself to become comfortable. There is nowhere else you need to be. Nothing else that asks for your attention. The day has already been lived. Its conversations are over. Its worries may wait patiently until morning. For now, there's only the observatory. Listen carefully. The gentle crackle of the fire, the quiet breathing of the great engines somewhere deep beneath the floor, the soft ticking of instruments that have measured the heavens for longer than anyone now living can remember. Beyond the great window, the stars continue their endless procession through the darkness. They ask for nothing. They hurry toward nothing. They simply continue. There is something strangely comforting about that. Here on Earth, nearly everything competes for our attention. Our thoughts rush from one obligation to the next. Our clocks remind us that another hour has passed. Our calendars quietly fill themselves with tomorrow's responsibilities before today has even ended. The universe keeps no such calendar. It has never hurried. It has never worried. It has never counted the passing of a single human day. Perhaps that is why people have always found peace beneath the night sky. It reminds us that not everything must move as quickly as we do. As your breathing begins to slow, allow your imagination to rest here beside the observatory window. The room is warm, the fire burns steadily. Books line the walls in every direction. Some contain histories, others contain questions, a few contain answers, most contain both. Outside, the darkness stretches farther than the mind can easily imagine. Yet darkness, despite its reputation, is not empty. It is filled with light, ancient light, patient light, light that has traveled farther than any explorer. Some of the stars shining beyond the glass are so distant that their light began its journey long before the first city rose from the earth. Some began traveling before the pyramids stood beneath the Egyptian sky. Others left their distant suns, while entire civilizations, unknown to history, still walked beneath unfamiliar constellations. Across unimaginable distances, across centuries beyond counting. That light continued moving, silently, faithfully, never once pausing, never once becoming aware that one evening it would arrive at a quiet observatory where a single listener had chosen to spend the night wondering. Against every reasonable probability, it arrived, not with fanfare, not with music, only with light. Perhaps that is one of the universe's quietest lessons. The greatest journeys are often invisible. We cannot hear starlight traveling. We cannot watch time unfolding across billions of years. Most of the universe accomplishes its work without asking to be noticed. There is wisdom in that. Human beings have always looked upward. Long before telescopes, long before mathematics, long before anyone imagined galaxies or black holes, someone stood beneath a clear night sky and wondered. A shepherd resting beside a fire, a sailor crossing a silent sea, a child asking questions no one could answer, a philosopher walking home beneath winter stars. Separated by thousands of years, united by one simple act: looking. Curiosity may be one of humanity's oldest traditions. Before kingdoms, curiosity. Before writing, curiosity. Before science, curiosity. It asked the first questions. It built the first observatories. It inspired the first maps of the heavens. And even now, after every discovery humanity has made, curiosity remains unfinished. For every answer we uncover, the universe quietly offers another question. Perhaps that is why we continue returning to the stars. Not because we expect them to explain everything, but because they remind us that mystery is not something to fear. It is something to explore. Here within the archive, we seek no final answer tonight. We seek only perspective, to remember that beyond every worry, beyond every hurried thought, beyond every ordinary day, there waits a universe unimaginably vast, astonishingly beautiful, and wonderfully patient. Outside the observatory window, the stars continue their silent passage. Inside, the fire continues to glow. And somewhere between those two quiet worlds, our journey begins. Section 2. Before we travel farther, we must begin where all journeys into the cosmos begin. Not with rockets, not with equations, not with great machines rising from towers of flame, but with the sky as it appeared to the first human beings. Imagine the world before cities, before written language, before glass windows, electric lights, printed maps, or clocks upon the wall. Imagine a small fire burning at the edge of a dark plain. Around it, human voices speak softly. Beyond the reach of the flames, the land disappears into shadow. And above, the universe opens. There would have been no light pollution then. No glow from distant highways. No city haze softening the heavens. The night sky would have appeared deeper, sharper, almost overwhelming. The Milky Way would have stretched overhead like a river of pale dust. Thousands of stars would have filled the dark, not as decoration, not as background, but as a presence. A great and silent mystery surrounding the world on every side. For those early watchers, the sky was not empty space. It was alive with meaning. The sun returned each morning and withdrew each evening. The moon changed its face night by night. Certain stars rose before winter. Others returned with spring. Some lights wandered strangely against the fixed patterns of the rest. We call them planets now. But to ancient eyes, they were travelers. Restless lights moving through the great black above. It is difficult for us to imagine how intimate the sky once felt. Today, many people pass weeks without truly seeing the stars. We live beneath roofs, streetlights, screens, schedules. The sky remains above us, but modern life often teaches us to forget it. For ancient people, the sky was unavoidable. It told them when to plant, when to harvest, when animals would migrate, when floods might come, when cold would return. The heavens were not distant. They were part of survival. A calendar written across the night, a compass made of fire, a clock too large for any hand to hold. And because the sky governed so much of life, people began to watch it with extraordinary care. They noticed patterns. They remembered. They passed knowledge from one generation to the next. A certain star, rising just before dawn, might mean a season was changing. A particular shape in the heavens might guide travelers across a desert. The moon might mark the passing of months. The sun's path might divide the year. Before science became a profession, observation was already sacred. Patience was already a tool. Wonder was already a method. Across the ancient world, people built places where the sky could be studied. Stone circles, pyramids, temples, towers, sacred paths aligned with solstices and equinoxes. Openings in stone designed to capture a single shaft of sunlight on one particular day. These structures were not merely monuments to belief, they were monuments to attention. They tell us something important about humanity. Even when life was difficult, even when survival demanded almost everything, people still looked upward. They still gave time to the stars. They still asked what the heavens might reveal. That, perhaps, is where the archive truly begins. Not in a library, but in the moment someone noticed a pattern in the dark, remembered it, and told another person. Knowledge began as attention, a mind looking carefully. A story passed softly beside a fire, a memory held long enough to become wisdom. And above it all, the stars continued shining. Section 3. There is an interesting thought that appears again and again throughout history. Whenever human beings believed they had finally understood the universe quietly became larger. For many centuries, it seemed perfectly reasonable to believe that the Earth rested at the center of everything. After all, the sun appeared to rise. The moon appeared to circle overhead. The stars seemed to rotate around us every single night. To anyone standing beneath an open sky, the evidence appeared obvious. And so the Earth became the center of countless maps. Not only maps of geography, but maps of existence itself. Humanity imagined itself standing upon a great stage while the heavens performed their endless dance overhead. It is a comforting idea to believe that everything revolves around us. Perhaps every generation has been tempted by that thought in one form or another. Yet the universe has always possessed a quiet habit of humbling certainty. Little by little, patient observers began noticing tiny irregularities. A planet would hesitate. Another would appear to move backward for a time before continuing forward once more. The heavens refused to behave as neatly as expected. Rather than ignoring these strange movements, a few curious minds continued watching. Night after night, year after year, some devoted entire lifetimes to little more than careful observation. No applause, no audience, only patience. Eventually, those observations began suggesting something astonishing. Perhaps the Earth was moving. At first, the idea sounded absurd. How could an entire world be moving without anyone feeling it? How could oceans remain where they were? Why did birds still fly? Why did trees remain standing? Everything around us seemed perfectly still. But appearances can be wonderfully deceptive. Imagine sitting quietly aboard a great ship crossing a calm sea. If there are no waves, no nearby shoreline, no wind rushing past, you may feel completely motionless. Only by looking outward do you realize the journey has already begun. Earth is much the same. At this very moment, while you rest comfortably, our planet spins steadily beneath your feet. It completes one full rotation every day. At the same time, it circles the sun. The sun itself journeys around the center of our galaxy. And our galaxy continues its own magnificent voyage through the universe. Everything moves. Everything. Mountains, oceans, clouds, cities, forests, every sleeping child, every drifting leaf, every quiet observatory. All carried together through an ocean of unimaginable size. Yet, from where we live, peacefully standing upon the Earth's surface, the motion disappears. Perhaps that is one of the universe's most beautiful illusions. The greatest movements often feel like perfect stillness. There is comfort in that thought. Our own lives often seem consumed by constant activity. Appointments, deadlines, responsibilities. The feeling that we must always be moving towards something. Yet the Earth teaches a quieter lesson. It accomplishes extraordinary journeys without haste, without noise, without anxiety, simply by continuing. Hour after hour, day after day, year after year. Perhaps we are not so different. Perhaps the greatest journeys of our own lives are not measured by moments of excitement, but by quiet persistence. One calm step after another. One thoughtful question after another. One peaceful evening beneath the stars after another. As our observatory drifts farther from the familiar world behind us, the Earth grows smaller within the great window. The blue oceans blend together. The white clouds soften into delicate brushstrokes. The continents slowly lose their names. Soon, there are no borders visible, no nations, no roads, no cities. Only one small world floating peacefully in the darkness. From this distance, humanity becomes wonderfully united. Every language, every culture, every disagreement, every celebration, every work of music, every library, every story ever told, all upon one tiny sphere, quietly sailing among the stars. It is a perspective that has changed everyone fortunate enough to witness it. And perhaps, before this chapter is over, it may change us as well. Section 4. As the Earth slowly recedes into the darkness behind us, another companion quietly comes into view. The Moon, for as long as human memory reaches, it has kept faithful company with our world. It has watched the first campfires burn upon open plains. It has reflected itself in rivers that no longer exist. It has shone upon every civilization that history remembers, and countless others that history has forgotten. Long before anyone understood what the Moon truly was, people believed it possessed extraordinary power. Some saw it as a goddess. Others believed it was a guardian watching over the sleeping world. Many thought it governed life itself. Its changing face became a symbol of time. Its steady rhythm became a symbol of order. Even today, despite all that science has revealed, there remains something strangely comforting about seeing the Moon rise above the horizon. Perhaps because it is familiar. Unlike the distant stars, the Moon feels almost close enough to touch. Yet appearances can be wonderfully misleading. The average distance between the Earth and the Moon is nearly 240,000 miles. If you were able to drive there without stopping, the journey would take many months. If you could somehow walk without rest, it will consume years of your life. Space has a remarkable way of making enormous distances appear deceptively small. The Moon teaches us our first lesson in cosmic scale. Objects that seem nearby often exist farther away than the imagination first believes. As our observatory quietly approaches, its familiar face begins to change. From Earth, the Moon appears smooth, gentle, almost serene, up close. Another story reveals itself. Ancient mountains rise from the surface. Immense valleys stretch across the landscape. Countless impact craters overlap one another, each preserving the memory of a collision that occurred millions, sometimes billions of years ago. Unlike the Earth, the Moon possesses no weather, no flowing rivers, no forests, no winds to soften its scars. Each mark remains, a silent record written across stone. It is in many ways a museum of time itself. Some of the craters before us formed long before the earliest forms of complex life appeared upon our own planet. They have simply waited, patiently, undisturbed, while oceans formed, continents drifted, dinosaurs came and vanished, ice ages advanced and retreated. Human civilizations rose one after another beneath their quiet gaze. There is something deeply peaceful about places that measure time so differently than we do. Our own lives often feel hurried. A single year seems important. A decade feels significant. The moon reminds us that some stories unfold across millions of years without urgency. Nothing there has ever rushed. Nothing has ever worried about tomorrow. The great grey plains before us have simply existed, waiting, watching, keeping silent company with the Earth through every chapter of its history. As we continue drifting onward, our blue world now hangs behind the moon. For a brief moment, the two appear together, one alive with oceans, forests, storms, and countless voices. The other quiet beyond description, one filled with movement, the other almost perfectly still. Yet they have never truly been separate. Without the moon, the Earth itself would be a very different world. Its gravity gently pulls upon our oceans, creating the familiar rhythm of the tides. Those tides have shaped coastlines, influenced ecosystems, perhaps even helped create conditions that allowed life to flourish long ago. The moon has always been more than a companion. It has quietly participated in Earth's story from the very beginning. And perhaps that is another lesson worth carrying with us. The universe is filled with relationships we cannot always see. Invisible influences, gentle forces acting across astonishing distances. Most of reality is quietly connected in ways that escape ordinary notice. The stars, the planets, the oceans, even ourselves. The deeper we look, the more we discover that nothing exists entirely alone. As the moon slowly slips behind us, our observatory leaves the familiar neighborhood of Earth. Ahead lies the wider solar system, the first small chapter within a universe almost beyond imagining. Section 5, Beyond the Moon. The solar system begins to reveal its true scale. From the Earth, it is tempting to imagine the planets gathered closely together. Children often see them arranged neatly across the pages of books. Bright illustrations show every world standing side by side. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, the great gas giants beyond. It is a useful way to learn their names, but it quietly hides one extraordinary truth. The solar system is mostly empty. Wonderfully, almost impossibly empty. Imagine standing upon a vast shoreline. Now imagine placing a single grain of sand at your feet. Walk several hundred steps before placing the next grain. Then continue. Again and again. That would still feel crowded compared with the distances separating the worlds around our sun. Space is generous with silence. It does not fill every corner with stars or planets. Instead, it offers immense stretches of darkness between islands of light. As our observatory continues its patient voyage, the sun still dominates the heavens behind us. From Earth, it appears gentle enough to glance toward during sunrise or sunset. From here, its true nature becomes more apparent. It is not simply a bright object, it is a star. A vast sphere of unimaginably hot plasma held together by its own gravity. Every second, deep within its core, hydrogen atoms combine under crushing pressure, becoming helium. In doing so, they release an astonishing amount of energy. That energy has been radiating outward for billions of years. It warms the Earth, feeds forests, powers oceans, lifts clouds into the sky. and quietly sustains nearly every living thing that has ever existed upon our world. Without the sun, there would be no green forests, no birdsong, no rivers, no people sitting quietly beneath the stars. Our entire history has unfolded because one ordinary star has continued burning with remarkable consistency. Perhaps that word, ordinary, feels surprising. The sun often seems unique to us. Yet astronomers now believe there are hundreds of billions of stars within our own galaxy alone. Many are larger, many are smaller. Some burn hotter, others glow softly for unimaginable spans of time. To the universe, our sun is neither especially large nor especially small. It is simply another star. That realization has a curious effect upon the imagination. It reminds us that if one ordinary star can possess a family of planets, perhaps countless others do as well. The thought is both humbling and strangely comforting. The observatory drifts onward. Mercury circles close to the sun, racing around it in only 88 Earth days. Its surface bears the scars of ancient impacts. It possesses almost no atmosphere to soften the harshness of space. Nearby, Venus shines brilliantly beneath thick clouds. From Earth, it has often been called the morning star or the evening star, beautiful to behold. Yet beneath those bright clouds lies one of the most unforgiving worlds in the solar system. Temperatures hot enough to melt lead. Pressures so immense that few machines have survived its surface for very long. Beauty, the universe quietly reminds us, does not always reveal what lies beneath. Farther outward, Mars waits patiently. Its rust-colored deserts have inspired dreamers for generations. Many have imagined canals, civilizations, even neighbors looking back toward Earth beneath a pale evening sky. Though those dreams have changed with discovery, Mars continues inviting questions. Its dry valleys whisper of rivers that once flowed. Its frozen poles preserve another chapter of planetary history. Even silent worlds tell stories. One need only learn how to read them. And so we continue, not hurrying, not racing from one destination to another, but allowing each world, each orbit, each quiet distance to remind us that the universe is not merely large, it is spacious. It gives every planet room to become itself, every star room to shine, every traveler room to wonder. And perhaps that spaciousness is one of the greatest gifts the cosmos has to offer. Section 6. As the last of the familiar planets slowly disappear behind us, a quiet realization begins to settle over the observatory. Everything we have known, everything humanity has ever touched, exists within only the smallest neighborhood of an unimaginably larger universe. The solar system often feels enormous while we live inside it, yet from here, it is becoming something much gentler. A small island of warmth, a tiny circle of light surrounding one ordinary star. It is remarkable how perspective quietly changes our understanding. A mountain appears immense until viewed from an airplane. A city feels endless until seen from orbit. The solar system itself, magnificent though it is, will soon become little more than another distant point of light among countless others. Perhaps this is why the universe teaches humility so naturally. It never humiliates, it simply widens the frame. Every time we believe something is impossibly large, we discover something larger waiting beyond it. The observatory continues its silent voyage. The darkness outside grows deeper. The sun, once so brilliant it dominated the sky, now shines with the quiet dignity of an ordinary star. There are no sounds here, no rushing wind, no waves breaking upon a shore, no birds greeting the morning, only silence. Yet it is not an empty silence. It is a silence filled with possibility. Imagine standing alone within the greatest cathedral ever built. Before anyone speaks, before music begins, there is a moment when the stillness itself seems almost alive. Space possesses that same quality. Its silence is not the absence of life. It is the absence of distraction. Within that stillness, the mind becomes strangely clear. Concerns that seemed enormous only hours ago begin to shrink. Tomorrow's responsibilities soften around their edges. The hurried pace of ordinary life slowly releases its grip. Perhaps this is why so many astronauts have spoken about returning home with changed perspectives. Looking outward, they discovered something inward, from far enough away. Many of the divisions that occupy our thoughts simply disappear. Borders disappear, arguments disappear, ambitions become quieter. What remains is something beautifully simple. One world, one sky, one shared home suspended within an endless ocean of darkness. The Archive has always believed that knowledge changes us. Not because facts possess magical power, but because perspective does. Learning that the Earth circles the Sun changes perspective. Learning that the Sun is only one ordinary star changes perspective again. Learning that our entire solar system drifts through one spiral arm of a galaxy containing hundreds of billions of stars changes it once more. Each discovery quietly rearranges the furniture of the mind, without asking permission. The universe gently teaches us where we truly stand, not at the center of everything, but not insignificant either. There is an important difference. We are small, wonderfully small, yet the ability to recognize our own smallness may be among the greatest abilities any intelligent life could possess. A mountain cannot admire the stars. An ocean cannot wonder where it came from. A galaxy cannot pause to appreciate its own beauty. Yet somehow, here we are, tiny creatures living upon a small blue world, capable of asking questions about the entire universe. Perhaps consciousness is one of the cosmos's rarest miracles. Perhaps curiosity is even rarer still. As we drift farther into the darkness, the stars around us begin to multiply. No longer does the sky feel like a distant ceiling. Instead, it surrounds us completely. Every direction now offers another ocean of light. Some stars glow with a soft golden warmth. Others burn with a pale blue brilliance. Some shine alone. Others belong to quiet families traveling together through the galaxy. Each possesses its own history, its own beginning, its own future. And every one of them reminds us that we have only just begun our journey. Tonight, we have not yet reached the great stellar nurseries where stars are born. We have not yet crossed the rivers of the Milky Way. We have not yet stood beside black holes or wandered among distant galaxies. Those chapters remain patiently ahead of us. For now, the universe asks only one thing, that we continue looking, slowly, quietly, with wonder, because every extraordinary journey, no matter how vast, begins by learning how to see. Section 7. The farther we travel from the Sun, the more difficult distance becomes to understand. At first, distance feels simple. A room, a street, a city, a road stretching between one town and another. These are distances made for human bodies. We can walk them, drive them, remember them. But the universe does not measure itself in familiar steps. It does not care how far a person can travel in a day. It does not arrange itself according to human comfort. Space is vast in a way that almost refuses to become real inside the mind. 1,000,000 miles sounds enormous. 1,000,000,000 miles sounds greater still. But after a while, numbers begin to lose their shape. They become sounds rather than experiences. And so, to speak of the stars, humanity had to create a different kind of measurement. Not a measurement based on roads, not on oceans, not on the turning of wheels, but on light. Light is the fastest messenger in the universe. Nothing known travels faster. In a single second, light can circle the Earth more than 7 times. In a single minute, it can cross distances that would swallow every journey ever made by every human explorer. And yet, even light requires time. It does not arrive everywhere at once. It travels patiently, faithfully, across the dark. The distance light travels in 1 year is called a light year. The phrase sounds gentle, almost poetic, but hidden inside it is a distance almost impossible to hold. Nearly 6 trillion miles. 1 year of light. 1 year of silent travel through space. And the nearest star beyond our sun waits more than 4 light years away. That means the light reaching us from that star tonight left years ago. When it began its journey, different conversations were being spoken on Earth. Different worries filled human minds. Different days were beginning and ending. And only now does that light arrive. Every star is not only a place, it is also a time. To look into space is to look backward. The night sky is not showing us the universe exactly as it is. It is showing us the universe as it was when the light began traveling. Some stars appear as they were decades ago. Some as they were centuries ago. Some as they were thousands of years ago. And when we look beyond our own galaxy, when we look into the deepest reaches of space, we see light that began its journey before human history. Before civilization, before the first written word, before the first city, before anyone ever looked upward and named the stars. The universe is a vast memory made visible, a museum of ancient light. The farther we look, the older the story becomes. Perhaps that is why starlight feels different from ordinary light. A lamp beside a chair is immediate. A candle flame is near. Sunlight is familiar and warm. But starlight is ancient. It reaches us after crossing impossible silence. It carries no voice, no intention, no message written for us. And still, we receive it as though it were a letter from the beginning of time. Outside the observatory window, the stars continue their quiet passage. Some are close enough, in cosmic terms, to belong to our stellar neighborhood. Others are so distant that their light has spent longer traveling than humanity has existed. The window before us is not merely a window into space, it is a window into time. And the deeper we travel, the more the difference between space and time begins to soften. Distance becomes history. Light becomes memory. Observation becomes a kind of listening, not with the ears, but with patience. The archive has always treasured old things, old books, old ruins, old myths, old questions, but nothing preserved upon Earth compares with the age of the light beyond this glass. There are stories traveling through the universe older than stone, older than oceans, older than the Earth itself. Tonight, we are not reading pages. We are reading photons, tiny messengers from stars that may have changed, faded, or died long before their light arrived. There is something deeply strange in that. A star may vanish, and yet continue shining in our sky for years, centuries, even longer. The universe does not erase itself all at once. It allows endings to travel. It allows memory to remain. Perhaps we are not so different. The light of what we have loved continues moving through us long after the moment itself has passed. Old voices, old places, old versions of ourselves, they remain, not unchanged, not perfectly preserved, but traveling still, softly illuminating the present from somewhere behind us. In this way, the cosmos teaches gently. It shows us that the past is not always gone. Sometimes it is simply still arriving. Section 8. Because the stars are so distant, and because their light reaches us from so many different ages, it is easy to imagine them as scattered points without relationship. A little light here, another there, a brighter one near the horizon, a fainter one almost lost in the dark. Yet human beings have never been content with scattered points. We search for patterns. We connect what is separate. We make shapes from silence. Long before astronomy became a science, the night sky became a storybook. Across the darkness, people saw hunters, serpents, queens, bears, birds, ships, rivers, gods, heroes, monsters. The same stars hung above everyone, but every culture arranged them differently. Where one people saw a hunter, another saw a canoe. Where one saw a scorpion, another saw a fishhook. Where one saw a bear circling the northern sky, another saw ancestors moving around a sacred fire. The stars themselves did not change, but the human imagination did. And so the heavens became a mirror. Each civilization looked upward and found something of itself. Its fears, its hopes, its seasons, its stories of creation, death, exile, love, triumph, and return. This does not make the ancient sky false. It makes it human. Before the universe could be measured, it had to be meaningful. A constellation could help someone remember a season. A familiar shape rising before dawn could tell farmers that planting time was near. A pattern in the dark could guide travelers across an ocean or desert. Stories were not the enemy of knowledge. They were often the vessels that carried knowledge through generations. A child may forget a list of coordinates, but a child remembers a story. And beneath ancient skies, stories were maps. Here in the observatory, the instruments around us speak in a different language. They measure brightness, distance, motion, temperature. They divide starlight into colors and discover what distant stars are made of. They detect invisible forms of light, radio waves, infrared, ultraviolet, X-rays. The universe speaks in more languages than the eye alone can hear. And yet even now, with all our instruments and mathematics, we still make pictures. We still give names. We still tell stories. A nebula becomes a horsehead. A galaxy becomes a whirlpool. A cluster of stars becomes a jewel box. Knowledge does not erase imagination. It deepens it. To know that a bright star is a distant sun does not make it less beautiful. To know that a constellation is not truly a connected shape does not remove its power. It simply gives the old story another layer. From Earth, constellations look flat, as if the stars were pinned to a dark ceiling. But from here, as the observatory moves beyond the familiar viewpoint of our world, the illusion begins to loosen. Stars that once appeared close together slowly separate. Some are much nearer. Others wait far behind them in the depths. The shapes we knew from Earth begin to stretch and change. The hunter dissolves. The familiar maps of childhood become something stranger. Not because they were wrong, but because they belonged to one particular place. One particular world, one particular angle of looking. Every constellation is a reminder that perspective creates pattern. Move far enough, and the pattern changes. This is true in the sky. It is true in memory. It is true in life. From one distance, events may seem random. From another, they begin to form a shape. Something that once appeared meaningless may later become part of a larger design. And something we believed we understood may become mysterious again when viewed from a new angle. Outside the window, the stars continue to rearrange themselves as our journey carries us onward. Not because they are dancing for us, not because they know we are watching, but because our place among them is changing. And sometimes that is all transformation requires. A change in position, a wider view, a little more distance. Behind us, Earth once taught us the constellations. Ahead of us, the galaxy waits to teach us what they truly are. Not drawings upon a ceiling, not decorations in the night, but suns, uncountable suns, each burning in the dark, each carrying its own history, each belonging to a greater structure we have only begun to approach. Section 9. As the observatory moves deeper into the stellar dark, the stars no longer feel like ornaments scattered across the night. They become something far greater. They become suns. Each point of light is no longer merely a point. It is a furnace, a presence, a distant center of warmth and gravity burning in silence. Some are smaller than our sun. Some are vastly larger. Some burn with a steady golden light. Others shine blue-white, fierce and short-lived, spending their brilliance quickly. Some are old and red, glowing softly near the end of their long lives. Others are young, still wrapped in the clouds from which they formed. From Earth, all of them appear gentle, tiny, almost delicate, but that is only because distance has made giants seem small. A star is not gentle in the ordinary sense. It is powerful beyond imagining. Deep inside, matter is crushed under its own weight. Pressure rises, temperature rises, and in that hidden core, atoms join together. Hydrogen becomes helium. Mass becomes energy. Light is born. The starlight reaching us tonight began in such a place. Not at the surface, not in the quiet space between worlds, but in the deep heart of a star, where gravity and fire have been locked in balance for millions or billions of years. That light then fought its way outward, through layer after layer of blazing material, until at last it escaped into space. From there, it traveled through the dark, year after year, century after century, perhaps longer, until it reached the window before us. A tiny fragment of ancient fire, softened by distance, entering the quiet room of the archive. There is something almost impossible in that. The same light that began inside a star now rests upon the glass, upon the books, upon the quiet instruments, upon your closed eyelids, if you imagine yourself sitting here long enough. The universe touches us gently with things born in violence. It is one of its stranger graces. And somehow, from this light, we have learned to understand the stars. We cannot reach most of them. We cannot scoop their fire into our hands. We cannot sail to each one and weigh it like an object upon a scale. Yet their light tells us who they are. When astronomers spread starlight into its colors, they discover hidden lines within it. Small absences, dark fingerprints, each chemical element leaves its own pattern. Hydrogen, helium, calcium, iron, oxygen. The stars reveal themselves by what their light has carried. In this way, the universe has been writing its own autobiography across the sky. Not in words, not in sentences, but in color. Every beam of starlight is a message, not intended for us, and yet readable by us. That may be one of the most beautiful accidents in all of existence. The universe did not need to be understandable. It could have been sealed, silent, closed forever beyond our senses. But instead, light carries clues, motion leaves traces, matter announces itself. Even distant stars, unreachable and ancient, can be known. Not completely, never completely, but enough to wonder honestly, enough to learn, enough to keep opening the book. Outside the observatory window, the stars continue to pass in patient silence. One by one, they remind us that our sun is part of a far older family. It is not alone. It was never alone. It belongs to the galaxy. A great city of stars so vast that our entire solar system is only one quiet lamp among billions. And somewhere within that city, worlds may circle other suns. Some frozen, some burning, some wrapped in clouds, some perhaps carrying oceans under alien skies. We will come to those distant worlds in time. For now, it is enough to understand this. The stars are not holes in the darkness. They are fires within it. And the darkness is not empty. It is the space that allows their light to be seen. Section 10. As the observatory continues onward, the stars begin to gather into something larger than themselves. At first, they seem endless. One sun after another, one distant fire after another. But gradually, a deeper structure begins to appear. The stars are not scattered at random through the dark. They belong to an immense arrangement, a vast turning city of light, a galaxy. From Earth, we call it the Milky Way. The name is old. Ancient people saw its pale band stretching across the night and imagined spilled milk, celestial rivers, roads for spirits, smoke from heavenly fires, or the glowing path of souls. Every culture found its own image. And for good reason. Under a truly dark sky, the Milky Way does not look like a few stars. It looks like something immense passing overhead. A soft river of light, a wound of brightness in the dark. A reminder that the sky has depths hidden from ordinary sight. For most of human history, no one knew what that pale band truly was. Some guessed, some wondered, some built myths around it. But only with careful observation did its nature begin to reveal itself. The Milky Way is not a cloud. It is not mist. It is not a mark painted across the heavens. It is the combined light of countless distant stars, so numerous and so far away that the eye blends them into a single glow. What looked like a river was really a crowd. What looked like mist was really fire. Billions upon billions of suns, gathered together by gravity into a structure so large that light itself needs more than 100,000 years to cross it. 100,000 years. Not to cross the universe, not even to cross all galaxies, only to cross our own. A single island of stars. And the sun, which once seemed like the center of everything, is only one member of that island. Not at the center, not near the edge, but somewhere in between, drifting quietly within one of the galaxy's spiral arms. There is something strangely peaceful about that. We are not at the center of the cosmic city. We live in one neighborhood of it, a quiet district of an immense stellar metropolis. Around us, other stars move in their own ancient orbits. They do not float without direction. They circle the galaxy's hidden heart. Slowly, patiently, over spans of time that make human history seem like a single breath. Our sun takes roughly 200 million years to complete one journey around the Milky Way. Since the last time it occupied this place in its galactic orbit, the Earth has changed beyond recognition. Continents have shifted, species have appeared and vanished, entire worlds of life have risen, flourished, and disappeared beneath the same traveling sun. And still, the galaxy turns, silent, massive, untroubled. It is difficult to hold such time in the mind. Yet that is part of why we came here. Not to master the universe, but to let it enlarge us. To let its scale loosen the tight grip of ordinary worry. To remember that our lives are brief, yes, but they are not meaningless because of that. A candle is brief, a song is brief, a summer evening is brief, and still, each can be beautiful. The stars do not ask us to last forever before we are allowed to matter. They only ask us to shine while we are here. Outside the window, the Milky Way begins to reveal more of itself. Not as the flat band seen from Earth, but as a living structure surrounding us. Stars above, stars below, stars before us and behind. The observatory is not traveling beneath the galaxy. It is traveling within it. We have always been within it, even when we stood in a field beneath the night sky. Even when ancient watchers traced stories across the dark. Even when a child looked upward and wondered what the stars might be. The galaxy was not far away. It was home. A home so vast that we mistook one small view of it for the whole sky. Perhaps many things are like that. We live inside mysteries long before we understand them. We are held by structures we cannot yet see. We belong to stories larger than our own awareness. The archive grows quiet as this realization settles in. The fire burns low. The instruments continue their patient measurements. And beyond the glass, the Milky Way carries us all. Every planet, every book, every memory, every question, all moving together through the dark, within a galaxy whose full shape we are only beginning to understand. Section 11. Within the Milky Way, the stars do not shine alone. Between them lies a hidden landscape, not empty, not silent in the way emptiness is silent, but filled with dust, gas, magnetic fields, ancient remnants, and enormous clouds where new stars may one day awaken. From a distance, the galaxy may seem like a city made only of light. But every city has its shadowed streets. Every library has rooms still unopened. The Milky Way is no different. Great dark lanes wind through its spiral arms. From Earth, these appear as black rivers cutting through the pale glow of the galaxy. For a long time, people wondered whether these dark places were true emptiness. Gaps where no stars existed. But once again, the universe was stranger than it first appeared. Those dark lanes are not empty. They are full of cold dust, full of gas, full of material waiting quietly in the dark. The darkness is not absence, it is concealment. Behind those veils, stars continue to burn. Beyond them, whole regions of the galaxy remain hidden from ordinary sight. Human eyes can only see a small portion of what the universe sends toward us. Visible light is beautiful, but it is not the whole story. There are kinds of light our eyes cannot receive. Infrared, radio, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. Each reveals a different universe. Infrared light can pass through dust that blocks our eyes. Radio waves can show us vast clouds of hydrogen drifting between the stars. X-rays can reveal violent places where matter is heated to extraordinary temperatures. Every instrument opens another window. Every window changes the room. This is one reason the archive surrounds us with so many devices. Brass lenses, silver dials, glass plates, listening horns turned towards the dark. Some are ancient, some are impossible. Some seem to belong more to dream than engineering. Yet all of them serve the same purpose: to remind us that reality is always larger than one way of seeing. The eye is a wonderful instrument, but it is not enough. The mind is a wonderful instrument, but it is not enough. We need tools, questions, humility. We need to remember that what is hidden is not always absent. Sometimes the most important things are simply waiting for the proper light. Outside the observatory, a great cloud of dust drifts across the stars. It seems almost like smoke. Soft, dark, motionless. But within it, gravity is working slowly, patiently gathering matter, drawing gas and dust together over spans of time too long for any human life to witness. Somewhere inside clouds like these, stars are born. Not suddenly, not dramatically at first, but through accumulation. One particle, then another. A slight thickening in the dark, a quiet inward pull. A region becoming denser, colder, heavier, until gravity begins to gather the cloud into itself. The beginning of a star does not look like triumph. It looks like darkness becoming organized. That thought is worth resting with. Not every beginning is bright. Some beginnings are hidden. Some happen quietly. Some gather themselves for a very long time before anyone can see the light they will become. In later chapters, we will enter these stellar nurseries more deeply. We will watch the birth of stars and the making of elements. We will learn how the universe turns simple matter into worlds, oceans, mountains, and eventually, minds capable of wondering. But not yet. Tonight, we are only learning the shape of the doorway. We are learning that the galaxy is not merely a collection of suns. It is a living archive of processes. Birth, motion, decay, renewal, silence, fire. The Milky Way is not frozen, it is becoming. Even now, while you rest, stars are forming somewhere within it. Others are dying, clouds are collapsing, planets are cooling, light is departing, light is arriving. The galaxy is a vast, slow conversation between darkness and fire. And we are inside it, not watching from beyond, not studying from some perfect distance, but carried within the very thing we hope to understand. The archive drifts onward through this hidden landscape. The windows darken for a while as dust passes before the stars. Then, little by little, new points of light appear beyond it, as though the galaxy itself is reminding us. Darkness is rarely the end of seeing. Often, it is only the place where a deeper vision begins. Section 12. Beyond the veils of dust, the stars return, not as distant decoration, not as a flat pattern upon the night, but as a great population of suns, each one carrying its own gravity, its own light, its own long history. And around many of them, though we cannot see them from here, worlds are quietly moving. Planets. The word feels familiar because we live upon one. But every planet is its own answer to a question gravity once asked. What happens when dust gathers? What happens when stone cools? What happens when ice survives far from a star, or clouds wrap themselves around a hidden surface? For most of human history, the only planets we knew were the wanderers visible from Earth: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. They moved differently from the fixed stars, and so they became special. Travelers in the dark. But now we know the truth is far stranger. Planets are not rare decorations around our sun. They appear to be common throughout the galaxy. Around other stars, worlds pass silently through their own years. Some orbit so close to their suns that their skies must glow with terrible heat. Some are frozen in deep darkness, far from warmth. Some may be larger than Earth, wrapped in thick atmospheres. Some may be smaller, rocky, silent and scarred. Some may circle two stars, watching twin sunsets fall across alien horizons. And perhaps, somewhere in that immense darkness, there are worlds with oceans, worlds with weather, worlds with mountains no human eye will ever see. We will not travel deeply into those questions tonight. Another chapter waits for them. A chapter of distant worlds, strange suns, and the quiet possibility that Earth may not be the only place where the universe learned to become awake. For now, we only allow the thought to enter gently. Our world is not alone in being a world. The Earth is precious, but precious does not have to mean solitary. A candle is precious even in a room filled with other candles. A song is precious even if other songs are being sung. The possibility of other worlds does not make Earth smaller. It makes the cosmos richer. It reminds us that creation did not spend all its wonder in one place. The archive glides between stars, and the instruments softly turn. Some listen for faint dips in starlight. A planet crossing before its star can briefly dim the light. A tiny shadow passing across a distant sun. From such delicate changes, astronomers have discovered worlds. Not by seeing oceans, not by seeing continents, but by noticing that a star became slightly less bright for a little while. How patient science must be. How gentle its victories can seem. A shadow, a wobble, a color, a rhythm, tiny clues gathered across enormous distance. And from those clues, an entire hidden architecture begins to appear. Solar systems beyond our own. Families of planets, rings, moons, orbits. Places that no mythmaker of the ancient world could have imagined, yet which have been circling their stars all along. Unseen, unbothered, waiting for light to reveal them. How much of reality exists before it is noticed? How many truths have waited patiently, not because they were hiding, but because we had not yet learned how to look? The universe has never been poor in wonders. Only our vision has been limited. And slowly, generation by generation, that vision widens. Outside the observatory window, a small golden star passes into view. Perhaps it has planets, perhaps not. From here it is only light. But imagination, guided by knowledge, begins to open around it. A frozen moon, a ringed giant, a desert world under copper clouds, an ocean planet where storms travel for centuries. Maybe nothing, maybe everything. The scholar does not pretend to know. The archive is not a place for false certainty. It is a place for honest wonder. And honest wonder is quieter than fantasy. It does not need to invent what it cannot prove. It simply leaves room. Room for possibility, room for mystery, room for the universe to be larger than our current answers. As we leave that golden star behind, the dark around it does not feel empty anymore. It feels inhabited by questions. And sometimes that is enough. A question can be a doorway, a star can be a lantern, and a world too distant to see can still teach us something about the strange generosity of existence. Section 13. Beyond the thought of other worlds, the observatory continues onward. The stars spread in every direction. Some appear close, others seem faint and remote. But together, they begin to suggest a new kind of map. Not a map of countries, not a map of oceans, a map of belonging. Every person has an address, a house, a street, a city, a nation, a world. But the cosmos gives every life a larger address as well. Earth, the solar system, the Milky Way, the local group, the universe. Each name widens the frame. Each one reminds us that home is layered. We're not only creatures of one room, one town, one lifetime. We are citizens of a planet, passengers of a star, inhabitants of a galaxy, brief sparks within an ancient and expanding dark. The thought can feel overwhelming at first, but it can also become peaceful. To belong to something vast is not to disappear. It is to be placed. A single word inside a library is small, but it is not nothing. It belongs to a sentence. The sentence belongs to a page. The page belongs to a book. The book belongs to the archive. So it is with us. A human life belongs to the story of the Earth. The Earth belongs to the story of the Sun. The Sun belongs to the story of the Milky Way. And the Milky Way belongs to something larger still. Beyond our galaxy, other galaxies wait in the dark. Some spiral like luminous storms. Some glow as vast golden clouds. Some are small and faint. Others are enormous, carrying suns by the hundreds of billions. From a distance, a galaxy may appear soft, almost delicate, a pale smudge upon the black. But each one is a civilization of stars, a turning archive of light, dust, gravity, and time. The nearest large galaxy to our own is Andromeda. To the unaided eye, under a dark sky, it appears as a faint blur, something easily missed. Yet that blur is a galaxy containing hundreds of billions of stars. Its light has traveled for more than 2 million years to reach Earth. When that light began its journey, our ancestors were not building cities. They were not writing books. They were not naming constellations. They were still becoming human. And still, the light traveled across the dark, across ages, across the slow unfolding of life on Earth. Until one night, someone looked upward and saw a faint softness in the sky. How strange it is that something so immense could arrive so gently. The universe often hides its greatest scales inside quiet appearances. A star becomes a point. A galaxy becomes a blur. A history of millions of years becomes a small patch of pale light above a sleeping field. This is why attention matters. Without attention, the sky is only dark. With attention, it becomes depth. With patience, it becomes history. The observatory drifts onward. The Milky Way still surrounds us, but the thought of other galaxies has entered the room. It changes the silence. What once felt like an endless collection of stars now becomes only one island among many. One lighted chamber within a greater cosmic mansion. In later chapters, we will travel farther into this structure. We will consider galaxies, clusters, and the vast web that binds the universe together. But tonight, we do not need to rush toward the largest possible thought. The archive teaches slowly. A doorway is not the whole journey. It is only the place where the journey becomes possible. For now, it is enough to sit quietly with a widening map. Earth behind us, the moon behind us, the sun behind us, the Milky Way around us, other galaxies waiting beyond the dark, and ourselves here in this warm observatory, listening as the universe gently increases in size. There is no need to understand it all at once. No mind could. Wonder does not require mastery. It only requires openness. A willingness to let the unknown remain vast. A willingness to be humbled without being diminished. Outside the window, the darkness deepens, but it no longer feels empty. It feels layered. It feels inhabited by distances. It feels like a library whose farthest shelves have not yet come into view. And somewhere within that library, light is always traveling. From star to star, from galaxy to galaxy, from the ancient past into the waiting present. The book is larger than we imagined. And still, we have only opened the cover. Section 14. As the observatory drifts onward, the scale of the universe begins to move beyond ordinary imagination. Earth was once enough to fill the mind. Then the moon widened the thought. Then the sun. Then the solar system. Then the galaxy. Then other galaxies, waiting like pale lanterns beyond the dark. Each step has opened another chamber. Each chamber has revealed another door. And still, the archive has not reached the end. Perhaps there is no true end for a mind like ours to reach, only horizons. A horizon is not a wall. It is only the limit of what can be seen from where we stand. On Earth, a child looking across the ocean may believe the water ends where the sky begins. But the ocean continues. The world curves away. The limit belongs not to the sea, but to the viewer. The cosmos has horizons too. There is a region of the universe we can observe because its light has had time to reach us. Beyond that region, there may be more, much more, perhaps infinitely more. But light, patient as it is, still needs time. And the universe has only been carrying light for so long. This thought is strange and quiet. There may be places so distant that their light has not yet arrived. Galaxies that exist beyond the reach of every telescope. Stars whose first messages are still crossing the dark. Worlds whose skies may never be seen from ours. Not because they are unreal, not because they are hidden by intention, but because distance and time have placed them beyond our present horizon. The unknown is not always a mystery because it refuses us. Sometimes it is simply still on the way. Outside the window, the darkness deepens again. Yet now we know better than to call it empty. It may contain stars whose light has not arrived. Galaxies too faint for our current instruments. Questions too large for any single age to answer. The archive has seen many human certainties pass through its halls. Each generation tends to believe it stands near the final edge of knowledge. And each generation is eventually proven wonderfully wrong. The universe keeps unfolding, not quickly, not for our convenience, but steadily, with a patience older than thought. There is peace in accepting this. We do not need to know everything tonight. We do not need to solve the full shape of existence before sleep. The mind may rest without surrendering its wonder. It may remain open. It may say, "I do not know," and find no shame in that. Those may be among the most honest words ever spoken beneath the stars. I do not know, not as defeat, as invitation. Every science began there. Every philosophy began there. Every myth, every map, every voyage into the dark. Someone stood before the unknown and did not turn away. They listened, they watched, they wondered. And slowly, the unknown became a little less silent. Tonight, we stand in that same tradition, not as conquerors of the cosmos, not as masters of the sky, but as listeners, as readers of light, as travelers inside a book too vast to finish. The observatory grows still around us. The fire breathes softly. The instruments glow with gentle amber light. Beyond the glass, the universe continues expanding into distances we cannot follow. And yet somehow here we are, small enough to be humbled. Awake enough to wonder, brief enough to be tender, conscious enough to look into the dark and ask where everything came from. That question waits ahead. It is older than civilization, older than religion, older than science, older than every name we have given the stars. Where did all of this begin? Not this room, not this journey, not our world alone, but everything. The stars, the galaxies, the darkness between them, the light itself. In the next chapter, we will turn towards that first great mystery. The beginning, the first light. The moment when the universe, young and hidden, began the long unfolding that would one day lead to galaxies, planets, oceans, minds, and this quiet evening in the archive. But for now, we remain at the threshold. The observatory has opened. The book is before us. And the cosmos, patient as ever, waits to be read. And so, seekers, our first evening within the Book of the Cosmos comes gently to a close. We have not reached the beginning of everything. Not yet. Tonight was only the opening of the observatory. The first quiet step away from Earth. The first widening of the window. Behind us now rests the blue world from which every human question first rose. The moon keeps its silent watch beside it. The sun burns patiently in the dark. The planets continue along their ancient paths. The stars gather into the great river of the Milky Way. And beyond that river, other galaxies wait. Other lights travel. Other mysteries remain unopened. There is comfort in leaving the book unfinished. A finished mystery has nowhere left to carry us. But an unfinished one may accompany us into sleep. It may move quietly through the mind. It may become a dream of stars, old libraries, distant suns, and windows looking out upon eternity. So do not feel the need to hold everything we have seen tonight. Let the details soften. Let the distances blur. Let the names and numbers fall away. Keep only the feeling, the sense of being small, but not lost. Brief, but not meaningless. Quiet, but still capable of wonder. The universe is vast beyond imagination. And yet somehow, for this one evening, we have sat beside its window. The fire is low now. The instruments continue their patient turning. The stars drift silently beyond the glass. The archive will remain open a little longer. You may stay here as long as you need. Rest in the warmth of the observatory. Let the darkness outside become gentle. Let the light of distant stars pass over you without asking anything in return. In our next chapter, we will travel backward, beyond the stars, beyond the galaxies, beyond even the first familiar shapes of the cosmos. We will seek the first light, the earliest glow, the beginning of the long story that eventually became everything we know. But for now, there is no need to go farther. For now, simply rest. The book is open, the observatory is quiet, and the cosmos, patient as ever, will wait for us. Good night, seekers. Sleep well.